Hey guys, just trying to come out and help a couple people. So a bunch of people ask this one question. Every time I get a comment, every time, it always comes down to what should I focus on this exam? What should I focus on that exam? So right now I have two people that left comments. I'm going to answer what you should focus on or give my opinion on what you should focus on for the Series 7 top-off. I've done a million videos on the SIE, and I'm starting to lean into the top-off a little bit. But I have to say that a lot of people come at me and go, what should I focus on the top-off? And I'll get into that. So what you have to make sure is that, first of all, you can't just focus on one or two things because you will fail. You can't just take a lot of questions because you will fail. Or if you pass, it'll be by the skin of your teeth. Anyone who says, what should I focus on? I try to preface it in the beginning by saying, do not just focus on one or two things. Do not try to cheat this exam. You need to know a lot of stuff. You need to know most of my stuff. So, what I want to talk about is, first of all, we've all heard it, suitability, suitability, suitability. You got to know. I did a video on that. Watch it. I think it gives you a good idea of what they're thinking. This isn't always what does grandma want. That's mostly suitability. Some of it's going to be, what are the risks? Why would you buy this? Why wouldn't you buy it? It may not fall into the question of, grandma's this is her portfolio. What is this good for her or not? They may do one or two of those, but it's not really what it's going to be. It's going to be John Jones or Mary Jones is looking for income and she wants safety and it's over 2 years. That would be like a T-note or something like that. That's what they're looking for, suitability. Another thing is options. Here's the one thing I'm going to preface it. When I say 70% suitability and then I start listing topics, you're going to get different feedback from different people saying, oh, I had a lot of munis, I had a lot of options. Here's why. Suitability is 70%. Straight up. Taxes, all this stuff. Any one of those topics could be suitability. So you may get 15 straight up just math option questions and 15 or 20 suitability option questions. So what happens is when people say to me, oh, how many option questions? I don't know. Could it be 10 or 12? Could be 30. Because if under the suitability part, they just throw options or munis at you, well, then you're getting more of those. So you have to understand that it's a little bit fluid. Suitability, one. Options, you got to know it. You can't just know, how to get a break even on buy a call or buy a put. You have to know that, plus max gain, max loss, and maybe even how to do profit and loss, which isn't all that hard if you get the break even. And the suitability. John Jones is long stock. Johnny Jones is always my guy. Johnny Jones is long stock. How do you protect it? You would buy a put in that case, but you have to know whether you buy a put or a call, whether a straddle's good, VIX, stuff like that. That's where it's not just options, but it's also suitability. You have to know the munis. You got to know them cold. Not what's on the third page of the prospectus, but you got to know them. You have to know munis, okay? You have to know geo versus revenue, bands, TANs, rands, who it's good for, rich people, who it's not good for, poor people, stuff like that. You may have to know who needs a feasibility study, who needs voter approval, stuff like that. Again, that falls under debt. You're going to have to know more than you think than in preferreds. Everyone kind of blows that off, and boom, they show up. The preferred stuff absolutely shows up. The convertible preferred, cumulative, participating, all that stuff I've covered in videos. Debt in general, just know, callable, corporates, secured, debentures, unsecured with your debentures, stuff like that. You have to know a lot of stuff on debt. And again, it all falls into, you get a couple definitions, but it might fall under the suitability and you'll get more. Margin is maybe 5 to 7 questions, not super difficult. Not like, oh my God, you bought this and sold that, and then on Tuesday you did that. The vendors give you hard margin questions. The test will not. You have to know it, but it's not going to give you like a 4-step math problem. Maybe 2, maybe 1. But most of it's going to be pretty straightforward. And the last thing that kind of interweaves its way through the whole thing is taxes, capital gains, ordinary income. What's the cost basis? What's the proceeds? You really got to know that stuff, okay? So you really have to know what's on all that how this stuff is affected tax-wise. Whether it's tax deferred, qualified, not qualified, capital gains, ordinary income, stuff like that. You really got to, whether it's a tax credit, you have to know that stuff. Not as well as an accountant, but how it's all affected. Okay, If you've made it this far, please bang the subscribe button, hit the notification, and tell people if you think I'm helping. I kind of waited till the end to do this to you. Again, so for the Series 7 top-off exam, I'm going to go real quick. You need suitability. Suitability, suitability, suitability on the Series 7 top-off. Options, munis, municipal bonds, taxes, debt, preferred, and margin. And yes, you need to know some of the balance sheet stuff, but you have to make sure that you're not going crazy in the crazy math. You have to know PE, stuff like that, PE ratio, earnings per share, maybe the current ratio or quick ratio. But don't go crazy on the math. They're not going to kill you. Again, I think that's a good overall plan, and I'm going to try to put some cards up there. Please watch those videos. They should help you out too. Thanks a lot, and you all have a good night.